Good Friday afternoon to you. It's 4 o'clock time for Sports4CLE. Thanks for joining us. Hope your weekend is off to a good start. Browns general manager Andrew Berry talking about his expectations for the season in 2025.
I think I probably tell you every year when we do the interview before week one. Every year is unique. Every year is unique. Every year is different. It's not. I was reading something. With my former team, the Eagles, where they were bristling at the notion of being called defending champions and saying like, hey, we're not defending anything. That was 2024. We're in 2025. And that's right. Like, that's the case. We see it every year in the NFL. I think right now, Terry, like, our mentality is let's learn this team during training camp. Let's get good, meaningful, competitive reps. Let's see how young players can progress. Let's determine roles, and then we'll go from there. The expectation talk, things like that, that'll be a conversation for another day. I'm sure I'll have just as unsatisfying of an answer. But, we're really looking forward to really doing the work and dealing with it on day-to-day.
What he's really saying is we're glad that 2024 doesn't influence 2025 from a Browns perspective. 3-14. Rookie quarterback Dillon Gabriel on his work leading up to training camp. Also, how he's approaching training camp.
I just got better, got to it, in every area of my game. And I think mentally, you're able to come out of OTAs and know a lot about what we're trying to do and accomplish. But physically, you're able to, actually go to work and know how the coaches want things. So gave us time to go execute that and feel good about it going into training camp. For most, it's just focusing on right where I'm at today. I think a lot of people are focused on results, but the more you can just be right where your feet are, the results will come. And for me, I'm just focused on today. I got a practice today that I look forward to, and it's been a blast to be able to learn and compete every single day.
So Gabriel and Sanders, both rookie quarterbacks, talked to the media today. Shedeur on how he's approaching the Browns' four-person quarterback competition.
I'm focused on doing me. I'm focused on learning what I need to learn. That's simply it.
Are you thinking about winning that job for week one?
I don't think nobody in this organization is here if they're not trying to win. Honestly, I think, they're trying to win who gives out the best water and Gatorades out here. So it's definitely a competition in everything in life. It's so many cameras out here. It's definitely a competition with content, obviously, too. So I think everything in life boils down to competition. I'm getting super comfortable in the playbook for sure, and it's helping me out, overall in the field.
Again, love the approach both for Sanders and Gabriel, the two rookie quarterbacks. Former NFL lineman Willie Colon on NFL Network's Good Morning Football, what he believes will define the Browns season for 2025.
For me, Kevin Stefanski will determine the Browns season. And you got to understand, he's a head coach that came from 2 seasons where he had 11 wins back-to-back. And so now you talk about a team who was 3-14 last season, and they don't have a QB1 as of now. So he's going to have to find a quarterback that's going to lead this team. He's going to have to get a defense that can play back to playing big-time Browns football like they were doing 2 years ago. And overall, it's going to be Kevin Stefanski to really deliver, right? Because it is what it is. Your quarterback situation is what it is. The defense took some hits, but can you get back to playing winning football and survive in a division that's loaded right now? Baltimore is solid. Cincinnati Bengals, they're going to come back with revengeance. You see what the Steelers did with adding Aaron Rodgers and a couple more pieces on the defensive side. How can this Browns survive in this division? And they're going to have to do it on his shoulders. And can he manifest a couple wins on the schedule that a lot of people don't expect?
Plenty of Browns talk ahead. We have G. Bush as well as Lance Reisland and Jake Burns all coming up in a few minutes on Sports4CLE. Let's turn our attention to the Guardians. Guardians open up a 3-game series in Kansas City tonight. It'll be Gavin Williams going for the Guardians against Michael Waka for the Royals. At the start of today, Guardians a game and a half behind the Rays and the Rangers. 3 games out of that third and final wild card spot in the AL. They've won 11 of their last 14. which will make the trade deadline really interesting coming up Thursday.
When we were struggling, there was a lot of walks. We've really limited the free bases and cleaned up the defense, and that's really why we're playing better. Obviously, the offense has come alive as well, but with our rotation, we just feel really good about them attacking the zone with their stuff right now, and they're doing a great job of it. Yeah, we love playing our division. We love playing our divisional opponents. It's going to be a fun weekend. We're ready to rock. We love the way we're playing right now. It was a great homestand. Couldn't be more proud of our guys coming out of the break to play the way they did this week, and we know that it's not going to be an easy weekend. We got to come in and play really good baseball and take care of our stuff.
Guardians are right at 500, and again, it's 3 against the Royals, 3 against the Rockies. So there is some time to continue to cut into that lead with the American League wildcard. Again, trade deadline is Thursday, so front office has some tough decisions to make. We're going to step aside, take a quick time out. Lance Reisland is up first, talking Browns on Sports4CLE. Stay with us.
You got so much to do, it's got you feeling blue. Put a little play in your day, 'cause it's fun all over the state. So come on, great games wait for you and me, the Ohio Lottery. Put a little play in your day, put a little play in your day.
Sports4CLE continues. The Browns have wrapped up day 3 of training camp, the first day that was open to the public. Let's head out to the Browns facility in Berea. Lance Reisland from the Plain Dealer and cleveland.com joins us. Lance, appreciate the time. Take us through. What's the takeaway from the first day with the public there watching Browns training camp this year?
Well, I always think it gives for everybody, when you get those guys out there, it gives you a little bit more juice, right? So I think those guys had a little bit more energy today. It's day 3, so that I think they needed the energy. They did, football-wise, they did a lot of red zone stuff. They started off with some red zone one-on-one, and then they went to some individual stuff, and then they did some more 11-on-11s, and at the end, they moved the ball. So they did some really cool things today. More about trying to get more in game speed, trying to get more up to actual live action. So we look forward to pads going on, but yeah, pretty good day in terms of having the fans out there. I think the guys were very excited. I know even covering it was great to have those fans cheering and everything going on around.
Yeah, we've talked a little bit about the physicality. We'll see that once the pads go on in a few days. Did the intensity and the tempo continue to be what we wanted to see with a lot of work and fast and some intensity to it?
Well, even without the pads, you can be intense without pads. It's kind of how you handle, everything that's going on, right? So even in the drills, they do a really nice job of making sure that their drills are up to speed, doing a really good job of being really physical with each other without knocking each other down. So for me, obviously, we'll see the physicality once the pads go on, but you're seeing a lot of intensity. You're seeing a lot of sense of urgency, which is something you and I have talked about for years. So yes, I am seeing that even in the drills right now. And that starts from the beginning of practice, even pre-practice and then after practice. There's a sense of purpose out here. And for me, that offensive defensive line looks pretty good right now. Those guys are going to look really good when the pads go on, in my opinion.
Who stood out today? And I know it's tough to say, but was there somebody or a couple of guys that you said they had good days? And again, a good day is a good day, and you try to build them on top of each other.
Well, I'll tell you what, this secondary played well. Newsom played really good in the one-on-ones. Martin Emerson played really good on the one-on-ones. What I like about those guys, going back to what you said, is that when Emerson jumps up, Seth Tillman jumps up. When Martin, when Ward jumps up, they want to go against the best, which I think is only going to make them better. But I would say the secondary as a whole had a pretty good day. The defense started bringing a little bit of pressure, which is kind of the next step for a quarterback, right? So the quarterbacks were even without pads, they were under tremendous pressure today, and it showed. And that's what you're going to get in the red zone. You're going to get tighter windows. You're going to get pressure. You got to get rid of the football quickly. But for me, I would say the defensive secondary had a pretty good day today. they're pretty sticky back there. And so Browns receivers have their work cut out for them. But if you had to pick a group, they were pretty good today.
The other thing that we've heard is the defense has kind of been ahead of the offense. You expect that. Is that the case again? Defense is really, I don't want to say winning the day, but it's been defense-oriented that has been ahead of the offense, if you will.
Well, I'm a little biased here, but without pads, the defense always has the advantage, right? And I mean that just because you're unable to really block, but give them credit because they're lining up right, they're doing the right things, and they are playing really, really fast. And you can tell. The reason I think they're ahead is because they've been in the system now for a while. A lot of these guys have been in the system 2, 3, 4 years, and when you're in that system, you start reacting instead of thinking, and that's what you get out of these guys. They are reacting. They're flying around. For them to get even a better look, though, it'll be much better when those pads go on and they can start getting live action for both sides. But yes, the for sure right now, especially with those young quarterbacks, Flacco looks composed, Pickett looks composed. Those young guys, they got that deer in the headlights, right? It's just the first time they're seeing live, fast guys. There's no weaknesses in the NFL. There's no weak position. So you have to be on point with everything you do. And I think those young guys are learning that. But right now, that defense, you can tell they've been in the system for a while because they're playing extremely fast.
So longtime Browns beat reporter Tony Grossi was talking earlier today about Dillon Gabriel.
I think if he continues to play like practice like this and then gets into the games and puts the team in the end zone, I think then you might convince me that he's got a chance to start. But right now, I think Gabriel is closer to Kenny Pickett than Kenny Pickett is to Joe Flacco. So I fully expect Gabriel to move into number 2 at some point down the road in the preseason. I can easily see Flacco and Gabriel being 1-2 in September.
So you've seen every practice as well. Just your reaction to how Dillon Gabriel's played, how Kenny Pickett's played, and we've talked. Joe Flacco, you thought was kind of the leader in the clubhouse, and have you continued to see that?
Yeah, I tell you what, obviously, if you go back, I'm really high on Dillon Gabriel. I think he's a guy who does everything right. He threw for so many yards in college, and it's funny because I can't consistently hear that he can't see and he's too short. And there are some little legitimate concerns there. But what you get is that he finds lanes, and they're doing a nice job of moving the pocket. But right now, if you ask me if the rotation of those quarterbacks, Flacco is for sure number 1 in my opinion, just because he plays at such a tempo that is very calming to all the other guys around him, right? So, and they're running the ball a little bit more. You can see that. You can see the physicality. So the quarterback may not have to be, a guy who carries the team, right? He's a guy you're going to win with, not because of, as you and I have talked about. But yeah, I've been highly, highly impressed with Dillon Gabriel. He has really good arm strength. People don't understand. He can really spin it. His only thing, if Dillon Gabriel's 6'2", Dillon Gabriel maybe was a first rounder because he's really talented, and you can see that when he's doing things.
When you take into account the line play, and I know you can't get a real good feel for it, have you continued to see Mike Bloomgren and that line kind of put things together the way you wanted to? And I can see you're smiling because that's a huge piece of it this year.
Well, I've said it to a bunch of people down here today. The most important hires at every level of football, high school, college, and pro, is your strength coach and your offensive line coach. And I've been super impressed with Mike Bloomgren. First and foremost, his energy and his passion and he has fun out here. And there's a lot to be said about having fun in the game of football, even at the professional level. His intensity is contagious with all these guys. They're constantly moving. They're constantly working on their craft. There's never a down period. So if they go special teams, the offensive line is working. That offensive line is working the entire hour and a half, 2 hours they're out here. It's very impressive to see, but that's where I think you're going to see the biggest improvement on this football team. I'm seeing a lot of zone run that Kevin Stefanski likes to run. I saw a lot of power today where that backside guard, so you're getting Teller and Batonio and Zinter and all these guys, all that entire offensive line looks healthy. They look fit. They look like they're really happy running this scheme. So obviously, as I've always said, the time will tell when the pads go on, but it's a very impressive group, and Coach Bloomgren is very impressive to watch.
Do you see traces of Bill Callahan and, some of the Bill Callahan in Coach Bloomgren?
Oh, absolutely. So what you get is, and I've said this before, is that, you know, he never does a drill where he's just has a guy block another guy. He's going to give you a scenario, right? He's going to, well, I lost you there. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're good. You're still here. You're still here.
All right. So he's going to give you a scenario. Sorry. Technical difficulties out here at Browns camp. He's going to give you the why of why you're doing things. So you'll see him even when they're just doing it on air. He'll simulate or imagine there's a guy here. What would you do? Imagine if the guy's here. Here comes the linebacker because it's a 4-2 or a 4-3 or an odd front. So he's constantly challenging these guys both physically and mentally. But there's no time off with Bloomgren. He's pushing these guys hard. They're the hardest working group out here because of him. But what I really like is the why. He tells these guys why they're doing things, and that's the biggest thing that I take away from Callahan. And what he learned from Callahan is have these guys understand what they're doing, and then bring the physicality in there with it.
Before I let you go, Kevin Stefanski, before practice, asked about high expectations for Martin Emerson.
Yeah, MJ's a very determined young man. I appreciate that he feels like he didn't play at his best. I mean, he's right. He's got such a high ceiling. We've seen him play at such a high level over the course of time. He will bounce back, and it's there's no secret to it. There's no magic wand. It's just from him working really, really hard. He's a kid that is in here all the time, constantly working at his craft, working on his body. So I expect him to have a big bounce back year.
So, Lance, you said earlier the secondary had a good day. Do you see that in Emerson and Greg Newsome? Those are guys, if this defense is going to be as good as we think it needs to be, they need to have the years they had a couple of years ago.
Well, the thing you like about Emerson, and I've seen him since his rookie year, is that he never backs down from a challenge, right? So I'm a big believer as a coach. He's giving maximum effort. I don't think he played great last year, and I think, you know, some of these guys got beat a little bit. Well, you and I have talked about the offense really had attributed to their play because teams, you know, they couldn't score and they started to press a little bit. But the thing you like about Emerson, since I've known him, is that since I've seen him, is that he never backs away from a challenge. He always jumps up. He's always covering the best receiver in practice. When they go to joint practices, he will jump up against the best receiver from the other team. He does not back down from a challenge. And I like that because you're getting the maximum effort. And sometimes you get beat as a DB. You got to have a short, you know, these receivers are elite in the NFL. So sometimes you're going to get beat. But like I said, with him, never hangs his head. He seems like he's the first one out here. He's always working hard. He's a pleasure to watch practice. So if he gets beat, he gets beat but it's not because he's not prepared. And that's what I think. That's the reason I think Coach Stefanski thinks he's going to bounce back because he works so hard every single day. He's never takes a play off. You got to take him out of the game.
Lance Reisland, thanks so much for joining us, coming to us after Browns training camp today from Berea. Thanks very much, Lance. Great stuff.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Lance Reisland, make sure you check him out. Plain Dealer, cleveland.com, does a really nice job. Film breakdown, video analysis, and his Browns coverage. We're going to step aside, take a quick time out. Garrett Bush from the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show in the Barbershop. Straight ahead on Sports4CLE. Stay with us.
You got so much to do, it's got you feeling blue. Put a little play in your day, 'cause it's fun all over the state. So come on, great games wait for you and me, the Ohio Lottery. Put a little play in your day, put a little play in your day.
We continue talking Browns on Sports4CLE. Earlier today, Jordan Hicks announced that he was retiring from the NFL after 10 seasons. Browns head coach Kevin Stefanski talked about Hicks in the retirement announcement before the Browns went out to practice at training camp.
I want to acknowledge Jordan Hicks, obviously a player, a person that I have an amazing amount of respect for. Jordan played really, really good football for us. Played at an extremely high level, and he was even better off the field in what he was able to give to this football team. So an amazing career, one that needs to be celebrated. And just want you to know that we support him, obviously, in his decision. We'll miss him, but he's somebody that I have a ton of respect for. I think that oftentimes happens, Chris, in football when you lose a player due to injury or retirement or whatever. There's opportunities that come up for younger players, and in this day and age, young players play early in this at these positions. So they may be counted on, and that's why we're working so hard. That's why we're trying to be efficient with everything we do, maximize every rep and minute that we have with these young men to get them ready to play.
With that, let's welcome in Garrett Bush from the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show and the Barbershop. G. Bush, it's probably not a surprise. You had heard first couple of days, personal reasons, Jordan Hicks wasn't there. Today the announcements, they had to be in communication, and I would gather it was not a surprise.
Yeah, listen, I think the Cleveland Browns may have known something about this a little bit earlier than that. You had an opportunity when you look at the Carson Schlesinger move. It looks a lot different at this point because now, it kind of was a head scratcher. Like, okay, well, we kind of knew what it was with JOK, and he kind of announced that he was going to be on the, on the PUP list or a guy that was not going to be playing all year. And then we're like, okay, we got Jordan Hicks. And now you look at it and you got Devin Bush, who is, have some off the field issues, and we don't know what's going on with him and his availability. And now you take a look at Jordan Hicks, who was a guy who was kind of filled that role. And the Cleveland Browns have done this for a while. They've done it with Goodson. They did it with some of the other Walker that was one of the linebackers, and so they usually have a guy, Anthony Walker. They usually have a guy who's a veteran and a guy that they bring in to kind of be the leader of the defense and especially to give them that leadership on and off the field. So when you kind of look at the way it kind of came down, you see why Carson Schlesinger in the second round, when people kind of were scratching their head a little bit like, whoa, linebacker, I didn't see this one coming. This makes a little more sense. Now, obviously, Jordan Hicks is a guy who is a consummate professional. So this has probably been something that came down the pipeline. This was something that that the organization knew. Kevin Stefanski might have known this. He may have given them a little heads up like, hey, look, hey, I'm going through this right now. I don't know. I don't want to, hold the, I don't want to hold the organization hostage here. This is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking I might retire, but and then, they say, hey, I'll be in shape. Don't worry about it. I'll still work out. Give me a little time to think about it. And so you take a look at it, and he comes back and says, okay, yeah, I ain't got it. I ain't got it in me. And trust me, those guys know when it ain't for them, because to get ramped up and to do what they need to do to put their bodies through it, being at camp, seeing Joe Bitonio go through that 100-degree heat, it's a different thing to be able to come back and do that.
Yeah, and Jerome Baker, a local kid, another veteran that they signed. So all those signs point to them having an idea of this. Defensive line coach Jacques Cesaire talked to the media today. Asked a lot about the first-round pick, Mason Graham.
Yeah, I mean, he's a playmaker. He's the fifth pick in the draft for a reason, and you can see it out here. And the way he moves, how strong he is, the way he rushes, and then the way he runs to the ball. I mean, he's done a great job of getting in shape. I mean, that's the number one thing I can say. That's a guy that left here, being committed to being in shape because he's trying to get ready for a full season. But Mason looks great, and the thing I can say about Mason is you can tell right away that he's a professional. He came back, he's in great shape, he takes great notes, asks great questions, answers his questions that he's supposed to, and he's really starting to understand the scheme. So I'm really happy with his progress since rookie minicamp to OTAs to now, and I'm looking forward to see what he can do for us.
G. Bush, those are the things you want to hear from draft picks, about draft picks.
Yeah, that's what I want to hear. And we're not going to run from it, because one of the things that we talk about is the Cleveland Browns will be judged by the trade down. You had Travis Hunter, who was right in your crosshairs. You could have took him, and you know how a lot of people feel about Travis Hunter. We'll see how he plays out his rookie year. But when you pass on a guy like Travis Hunter, and let's be clear, as a fifth overall pick, I like the fact that the defensive line coach did run from it. He said he's a fifth overall pick for a reason. When you draft somebody in the top 5, they can't just be okay. They got to be a bona fide ball player. Let's just be honest with yourself. Hey, listen, if you're a defensive tackle, look at this short list of defensive tackles that have gone in the top 10, let alone top 5. So Aaron Donald is the gold standard, and he went in the mid-round picks. I believe it was either 11 or 15, somewhere in that range. When you take a look at guys like Warren Sapp was a later in the first round type guy. So if you're going to have a guy at the number 5 at defensive tackle, he better be an impact player immediately. Myles Garrett was the number 1 overall pick. And guess what? Myles Garrett is a walking Hall of Famer. We have no problems with that. I have no problems giving Myles Garrett more money or whatever the case he wants to be, because there's 2 things. You never have to worry about Myles Garrett being in shape. You never have to worry about his production. Now, the thing I'm encouraged by was Mason Graham was a little gassed. He gave it up, right, during training camp, the OTAs with the rookie mini camp. And it says that he's down from 305 to about 292. And that's more of the speed that we like to see. That's a lot of weight to be the drop. But I think he'll be quicker for it. It feeds right into what Jim Schwartz wants to do. They don't care nothing about you taking up double teams. That's not what they're asking a defensive tackle to do. When he was rolling, he had Nick Fairley and he had Ndamukong Suh inside. Ziggy Ansah was on the outside in Detroit. Say what you want. Those guys moved up and down the field, and that's the way he wants to play. I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do, and that goes for Mike Hall Jr. as well. I want to see those 2, along with Myles Garrett and some of the other guys on the edge, really rush the passer and really cause havoc in the backfield.
I'm going to throw another name to you. Jack Cesaire talked about Malik Collins. That's the guy that they signed as a free agent. What he brings to this defense. Here's Jack Cesaire again.
I love Malik, and I always sleep good at night when Malik Collins is on my defensive line, just because, he knows who I am. He knows how I work. He's a technician. He's a professional. He's a very smart runner, rusher. So I'm just excited to see what Malik can bring to the table.
Jack, when we talk about interior pressure, there's been a real emphasis here. We're trying to increase that over the last couple of years. How important is that on your D-line?
It's really important because you have to collapse the pocket. If you don't collapse the pocket, now the quarterback has a step-up lane. So you got to have 2 guys inside, whether they're D tackles, big defensive ends, whoever it may be. We need guys that that can collapse the pocket so those defensive ends can shorten that corner and get to the quarterback.
And not get blown off the ball to keep the linebackers clean as well. I'll add that.
Yeah. And by the way, listen. I like how the defensive line coach is talking. Don't give too much away. You notice he said whether it's defensive tackles or big defensive ends. You kind of gave me something there. They're looking to get their best rushers on the field, and Malik Collins is a guy that can do a little bit of both. And the fact that he's going to be part of that rotating mix in there to kind of collapse the pocket and make Myles Garrett. So, and by the way, look for Myles Garrett to do a little more stand-up 3 technique. I think they want to get Isaiah McGuire on the field at the same time. I think they want to get Alex Wright on the field. And the young kid he's not young, but the former first-round pick from Washington that they got from Tampa Bay, I think they want to get him on the field at the same time to give him opportunity to see what he can do. So, now Jim Schwartz is operating from a position of strength, and it should be. The Cleveland Browns went and got Malik Collins. They went and spent some money on that. The last 2 draft picks have been high-value draft picks at defensive tackle. You went out and you gave Myles Garrett one of the biggest extensions in the game. And so this defensive line has to carry. They have to be dominant. You are missing and a little bit deficient in the linebacking room. But when you look at the cornerback room, that is all there, and what they've done and giving Greg Newsom the 5th-year contract, Martin Emerson's in a contract year. You know what Denzel Ward is. Grant Delpit just received a new deal not too long ago. So you see these guys, the secondary and the defensive line group are going to have to lead by example and lead by production.
All right, before we go to break, defense is going to have to lead the way with this team. That's no, I'm not sharing any state secrets. Who needs to step up specifically for this defense to get back into the top 10, top 5?
Man, we kind of named all of them. We kind of got to them, and I'm gonna go with Carson Schlesinger because, you know, JOK. I mean, I cannot voice how devastating that injury is, because the Cleveland Browns at one point in time had a level of speed and physicality that was hard to match. When the Browns give the Baltimore Ravens trouble, it's because you had the speed of JOK. You had Grant Delpit that can guard and cover with tight ends. You had Myles Garrett. You know what you had in those guys. And when you lose a guy like that, you lose Jordan Hicks, you need to somehow replace that athleticism. They have it in Denzel Ward. He's one of the best corners in the league. They have it at a premier position with Myles Garrett. Where is that? Where is the middle of the field coming from? And when you take a look at Carson Schlesinger, he played sideline to sideline at UCLA, played third downs, was able to get his hands on passes and pick balls off and become a guy that can run sideline to sideline and be athletic. So to me, with Hicks leaving today and being like, hey, I'm calling it a career, and not knowing what's going on with Devin Bush, I think he's the focal point of what the defense is, and they're going to try the linebacker core. They trust me. They're going to try to run the ball. They're going to try to be physical, and so I'm looking forward to see what he can do.
Garrett Bush and I are going to step aside, take a quick time out. Other side of the break, we'll turn our attention to the quarterbacks in training camp. Sports for CLE. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
You got so much to do. It's got you feeling blue. Put a little play in your day. 'Cause it's fun all over the state. So come on. Great games wait for you and me. The Ohio Lottery. Put a little play in your day. Put a little play in your day.
We continue talking Browns with G. Bush from the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. A longtime Browns beat reporter Tony Grossi with what he has seen early on in training camp.
You have the best player in the league on that side of the ball, Myles Garrett. You have 2 high draft picks that are doing pretty well on that side of the ball. You have a Pro Bowl cornerback. You know, defense is playing better right now. However, that was particularly bad offensively yesterday. But I've seen bad and I've seen worse, and we're probably going to see another bad offensive day before they get to Carolina and Philadelphia. So I wouldn't overreact. I think one positive development, I got to tell you, after 2 days, Dylan Gabriel's looking pretty good out there. He's looking better than he looked at minicamp, and I thought he looked fine at minicamp. But yesterday, man, it was 101 heat index, and the offense didn't handle it very well.
G. Bush, you know, the old saying is, and it's going to be really true for the Browns, is that the defense is ahead of the offense early. And there's just a lot of questions and a lot of young guys that need to come through on this offense.
Yeah, Tony wasn't lying. I was out there yesterday, and I thought it was, he said it's 101. It might have been hotter than that. I was looking out there like, man, listen, I do not miss this a beat. I had flashbacks. I thought I was in pads. I had to have the training staff come check my pulse. I was just like, listen, I can see why people do not want any parts. But, the fans it'll be open to the fans, I believe, tomorrow. And there'll be a lot of Browns fans that are ready to chop at the bit. But I will also agree in another respect with Tony. It was nasty yesterday. It was, the defense. It was difficult for the Browns to get regular stuff done. Myles Garrett, let me tell you this. If there's a better defensive player in the game than Myles Garrett, I ain't seen it, because he literally, I feel, is like going 17, 18%. And he's not even really in his bag of tricks yet. And I seen him just run around DeJuan Jones like it was just like, and look, no disrespect to DeJuan Jones. I think he looks in great shape, but it's not saying much about him. It's saying more about what Myles Garrett is out there doing. I thought the defense looked crazy yesterday. They look fast. But then again, we always say this, the defense is always going to be ahead of offense, always. And right now, I think one of the main things that I'm watching is I watch camp, and as I see the Browns' offensive line, they're retooling this thing from the ground up. They realized that what they were running last year was not conducive to their personnel, and I'll give it to them. The offensive line looks more physical. Zach Zenner looks a little bigger. He looks like more physical, strong. I thought Dylan Sampson was a little bit more powerful. I thought Pierre Strong ran the ball well yesterday and showed some different things. But one thing that is truthful is they are hurt by the Quinshon Judkins thing. Because the way that they're setting this thing up, they're going to run the ball a lot. They are going to run the ball a ton, and he was the main piece in what they were trying to do. It looked obvious yesterday that they were out of place and undermanned, because it was just like Denzel Ward is out there. Hey, look, Greg Newsome even looked like he was on a different level. So it was stark. And if this is any telltale sign of how the offense versus defense is going to look, like you said, the defense by far has way more upside. And if they're going to overachieve this year, it's going to be because of that side of the football. But in offense, I think what's the name? Kenny Pickett had an interception. Grant Delpit jumped a route. It could have looked like a pick six. He ran down the sideline. It's gonna be tough sledding, especially given the limitations out wide. Jerry Jeudy looks like he's by far the number one receiver, but they got to find 3 more dudes or 2 more dudes to step up. And now you look at a situation where, you got basically Jerome Ford is coming back and Dylan Sampson, and the offense pretty much is the same with no upgrades. So I think that it's going to be points will be at a premium this year.
The 2 rookie quarterbacks talked to the media today. Shedeur Sanders was asked how he approaches things when he's not getting a ton of physical reps and what his mindset is.
I'll say just have a deeper level of understanding, because I know whenever I get my opportunity, I got to maximize it. So that's something you have to change in the mentality standpoint, and the mental standpoint is, okay, I just got to think about what I could do to get better, even if I'm not getting reps, and it's no problem. I would say just learning. Every day, of course, I'm learning different things, because I know the opportunity will come, and whenever it comes, I want to be able to know the ins and outs and know the full everything, so I don't want to really make too many mistakes when it's my time.
That's the attitude he has to have, and he will. Everybody who plays quarterback will get a shot in this camp and with this franchise.
Yeah, he's saying exactly what he needs to say, and he said exactly what I said after I did a blog yesterday on the barbershop, and I talked about what I saw, and I was frank with people. I said, right now, man, they say it's a quarterback competition, but there is no quarterback competition. Right now, he is at a position where it's a lot of things that need to move and shake for him to get on the football field, because right now he's not receiving first-team reps. He was not getting first-team reps in 7-on-7. He didn't get any first-team reps in the team period, and it's evident to me just by being around the game and knowing people's energy and watching how coach move and watch how the general manager speaks. They are invested in the whether it's Joe Flacco or Kenny Pickett, and the guy that is getting the reps is Dylan Gabriel right now. So for him, I said it. I said, look, right now, I don't think it's a quarterback competition, and I could just see it the way things is being shaped up. But I said, that's for today. I said, every professional athlete knows this, and everybody in the media knows this. Sometimes it ain't got nothing to do with how good you are. There's a bunch of people that can throw the ball. There's a bunch of people who can shoot the basketballs, but some people that do great in other areas. But it sometimes boils down to what are your circumstances and what are your opportunities. And sometimes you might not understand the circumstances, or you might not be getting the reps, and it has nothing to do with whether or not you can play or not. When I watched all 4 quarterbacks, all of them throw the football. All of them got good footwork. All of them did what they was needed to do. I don't see a huge gap between any of them. But the problem is this, and the more than not necessarily the problem, what his obstacle is what he just said, and he articulated it perfectly. I need to be ready, and when my opportunity comes, I can't drop the ball. When my opportunity comes, I got to hit it good. I got to hit the throws. I got to know the offense in and out. I need to know anything. So if I got 5 reps, my 5 reps got to be $1 million reps. They got to be on point, and I got to be making plays. And so I like the fact that he acknowledges that, understands what the task is, and understands that it's about, at this point, capitalizing. Because everybody, look, ask the New York Jets how quick things change. Justin Fields leaves on a stretcher. You know, a couple years ago, Aaron Rodgers tears his Achilles the first preseason game. Hey, look at the Minnesota Vikings. Sam Darnold wasn't expected to do nothing, but their first round draft pick comes out there. He gets injured for the rest of the year. Sam Darnold comes out there, does what he was supposed to do, was ready to go, understood the opportunity, and now he's getting $100 million. So it's about the circumstances and mastering what you can master. And, hey, until your time comes, what you need to be doing is practicing and figuring out what you need to do and making sure that you understand that when your time does come, I can maximize what I'm supposed to do and take full advantage of my opportunity.
So Dillon Gabriel, the other rookie quarterback, third-round pick, was asked about playing on time and its importance, and also about, as an undersized quarterback, finding passing lanes.
Regardless, a quarterback has to find passing lanes. But also regardless, it's not always going to be the perfect situation. And I think for anyone, you're going to have to find those tight windows and make those certain throws. And that's at every level, regardless of, physical ability. You're going to have to make certain throws that, are contributing to winning. So it's all situational based. Playing on time, you can still take shots down the field. And I think, that's a constant balance a quarterback is playing, when you can, take the cheese or maybe you got to drop it down. And sometimes, people see a check down maybe as results based and versus, maybe a check down that gets an explosive, right? So there's constant conversation about it when you can continue to play off one another. But I think it's, the balance of quarterback plays really in every progression.
And G. Bush, I keep saying this. We're not going to know exactly what Dillon Gabriel is relative to the NFL probably until the regular season, because full speed, pads, it's just different. That's when we'll find out. Can he find the passing lanes? Can he be the Drew Brees type that can succeed with, being under 6 foot?
Everybody, I think, has something we can learn from somebody. Except for Joe Flacco. I think we know Joe Flacco. We know what Joe Flacco, his book is the book on Flacco is as long as the day is long. Like, we know what that is. And I think that's part of the reason why Joe Flacco may not be getting as many reps. It's not the fact that they don't think he can play. It's the fact that they already know he done been there, done that at a high level, and they've already seen him in their facility do it at a high level. Now, the other 3, we're going to find out a lot. Can he pick it? The question is, can you be a guy who can lead and throw the football downfield? Are you a quarterback that needs to be established with a bunch of stuff around you? Good receivers, good offensive line, run game, got to have a creative coordinator. Like, that's a lot to be asking for in today's NFL, right? You may have a good run game, but you may not have the best receivers, or you may have a good offensive line, but your running backs are so-so, or you may have an offensive coordinator that's dynamic and really put you in the best positions, but you just don't have the downfield threats that you need to stretch the field. We're going to see what it is with him. He was a first-round pick, and he's going to have to make plays to show that if you want to be one of those quarterbacks or known as a starting quarterback in the league. And the other two, you're going to have to see. Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur are both accurate, but Dylan Gabriel served more out of the shotgun, and I could see why. At practice, I said this, and, seeing him up close and personal, I said, he throws a very good tight spiral. He has a good, strong arm. In the underneath game, he's very accurate. When you're sitting back there and he's throwing the slants and the outs, it looks good. But the problem is, he had a little bit of trouble. He sailed a pass when he were in the goal line period, and it was because the pressure was in his face. And that is a thing. When you got Myles Garrett or guys that are 6'5" and guys are pushing the pocket in front of you, it's difficult to get throwing lanes and be accurate. Shedeur Sanders, listen, he looks, accurate when he's throwing the ball. The thing is, one of his things was timing. Are you going to get rid of the football? Understanding when to take one of those deep shots and what are we doing here? Are we going to throw the ball? We can't take sacks in that opportunity or in that certain part of the field. So all of them are going to learn. And the great thing about it is this is why, I'm going to enjoy watching the Cleveland Browns this year, because there are certain things that you can learn from football in evaluation periods. It's going to be a very, thin needle to try to thread the needle with figuring out what these guys are and trying to keep guys motivated and giving your veterans a chance to win. But you're going to see all of those, and especially starting quickly with the preseason.
G. Bush, as always, great stuff. Appreciate the time and the insight. Thanks very much.
Appreciate you.
Make sure you check him out, G. Bush. Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, 11 to 1, Monday through Friday. Barbershop on the weekends, always really good Browns stuff. We're going to step aside, take a quick time out. Jake Burns from BrownsFilmBreakdown.com. Straight ahead. Stay with us.
Come back to go forward. Back to learning new things. Back to pursuing your dreams. Tri-C has flexible learning options to fit your life. And every year, more than 1,000 local companies provide Tri-C students with real-world learning. The right education can boost your lifetime earning power by hundreds of thousands of dollars. Start now with a college education you can afford. Tri-C, where futures begin.
We continue talking Browns on Sports4CLE. Let's welcome in Jake Burns from BrownsFilmBreakdown.com. Jake, we continually talk about what the Browns need to do to win in 2025. So there is a formula. Take us through kind of your thoughts relative to that.
Yeah, I kind of have. Let me put it this way. I don't think the Browns are the most talented team in the division, and they're certainly one of the league's more uneven rosters in terms of like where they're generating some points. I think the defense, it doesn't take squinting hard, even though, Jordan Hicks steps away from the NFL today. They still have enough linebacker talent. I think the defense can be good, quite simply. The question is whether they have enough offense, which I think is a very fair concern. So if you're in this world of maybe being under-talented in certain portions of your roster and you are looking to over-deliver on outcomes, right? So looking to win games that you maybe shouldn't win. You got to be really good in some what I call non-negotiables. So, the 5 that I laid out pretty much hinge on the defense getting back to what it was in 2023. They went from second in DVOA defense to like 25th last year. Now, obviously, the end of the year and some of those waste games and where the season was, that happens. But that is a place they have to immensely improve. There's also concern over turnover margin per game. So they were, and this is a trend that has been in the wrong direction for far too long under Kevin Stefanski. And now, again, you can point to various reasons that are not difficult to see, but, they were 5th in this in 2020, and then since then have gone downhill every year to the point that they were dead last in the NFL last year. in turnovers per game, the margin per game. Now, this is something that they were still bad at in 23, but not quite as bad. But they need to be on the right side of it this year, significantly better. Top 15 in the league in turnover margin, cutting them down on offense, obviously playing ball control offense that every drive ends in a kick, as they say, the old Jim Tressel days, right? You're either punting it, kicking a field goal, or kicking an extra point. You don't want to hand the football over to the other team. So, you want to live in that space. You want to get into a better headspace of like, hey, we're going to be a run-oriented football team. I've illuminated this over the last several months, really, that the Browns have had a sharp decline in run efficiency since the start of the 22 season. Obviously, Nick Chubb's ability to help with that guided some of their success in 22, but then when he got hurt in 23, it just kind of all magnetized. They've been one of the worst rushing football teams in the NFL the last 2 years. So they tried to take steps to rectify that schematically and with personnel, and obviously Quinshon Judkins' situation throws a wrench into it, but they've at least tried to address it. We'll see whether the results bear the same fruit, but they have to run it well. They also have to play better on special teams. They were among the worst DVOA special teams last year. We know the kicking game was bad, but it goes beyond that. The return game wasn't good enough. It was below average, and we know that their coverage, their units and punt and kickoff coverage were among the worst in the league too, giving up multiple explosive plays in that area. So the special teams were pretty average. Bubba Ventrone's first year, literally dead 15th in DVOA, but they were like 27th last year. So, Dustin Hopkins making some kicks this year, being better on special teams is a non-negotiable, right? And then the last one that I have is the penalty margin and mental mistakes. Far too many mental mistakes, coverage lapses, alignment issues, and then the penalties. The Browns have been perpetually, and this is a really rough stigma of a large sample size for Kevin Stefanski's tenure, but they are one of the most penalized teams in the league year after year. In the bottom, they have not finished better than 20th. And over the last, 3 years, they have been in this like 24th, 27th, and almost near dead last. So they make too many mental mistakes. Can you win? Like, if you're going to be a team who doesn't score a ton of points, you're not maybe creating easy, explosive plays to overcome mistakes. You better have stellar defense. You better control the football, great special teams, and you better be able to be out mentally preparing your opponent and taking advantage of the little details, because that's what's going to take if they're going to be any good. If they don't want to do all of those things, then they just won't be good enough to win any games this year. They'll lose far more than they will win. So it's going to take winning in the ugly. That's what I call it. You got to get down in the details. You got to win in the trenches. You got to win ugly, play ball control offense, and then we'll see if they're willing to do that. My general point has been that, like, it's not really so much a talent issue, whether to me, it's like they do have some talent in various places, but to me, it's, do they have enough self-awareness to know how they have to win, to know the things they have to do to win? That buy-in comes from coaches, preaching, getting them to believe, and we'll see if Kevin can do that.
Yeah, so along those lines, you've also addressed this on brownsfilmbreakdown.com. Return to 12 personnel. So that's one running back, 2 tight ends. It's how this offense thrived. This is what Kevin Stefanski does well, or has done well in the past.
Right. I mean, I think that they have worked more toward an 11 personnel world because some of their better players dictated that decision, which is understandable. You went from Austin Hooper and Njoku, and then you kind of found a better plethora of wide receivers to fit in the mold. I mean, you can live in both worlds and find success, but I do think Kevin, through his Minnesota tenure, was better using tight ends. They've invested in Harold Fannin here. I'm about to post a film room about schematic inspirations across the league that I think would make a ton of sense for them, and sort of like some hybrid fullback looks and the wing and slot paired with Njoku. It's got a chance to be good. I've been a little befuddled why they haven't invested a little more at tight end outside of David, and we got to see whether they give David a long-term contract. But I do think, based on how they want to run the football and pair their run game with their play action looks, I think doing it out of 12 personnel can be effective. And then if you have what I think is a pretty fun weapon here in Fannin, you can also get really creative and still have similar pass game advantages too. What the Browns have to decide is who's their 5 guys, right? Like, if you're at the goal line and it's a 2-point conversion to win the game, who's the 5 skill players that are on the field? If you're all things are even, and when it works itself out, if it's Judkins at running back or Sampson at running back, Tillman, Judy, and Njoku, who's the next guy? Is it Deontay Johnson? Is it Jamari Thrash? Is it Harold Fannin? I tend to think it's Harold Fannin. So that's why I think they're going to live in an uptick of 12 personnel, and I expect them to be displaying that throughout camp.
Well, another guy that's going to have to be effective and as good as he was last year, if not better, if they're going to be successful, is Jerry Jeudy. I know you've done a film breakdown. Let's take a look at some of the things and take us through some of the points when we look at Jerry Jeudy on video here. What you're seeing and what are important things and things that he can even get better at.
Yeah, I mean, the way I've broken it down is last year let me put it this way. Jerry is a finesse receiver, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, he lives in a finesse world. He doesn't bully people. There are wide receivers who will run through you, jump through you, play really strong at the catch point. Like, that's just not his game. He's an out-breaking route guy that I think is really good at the nuances of route running, really good at catching the football along the sidelines, and very adept at winning routes that involve breaking down cushion and snapping off and creating separation. As you'll see on some of these early out-breaking routes, he's really good at these hitches, these late back shoulders, these, like I said, comebacks or out-breaking routes. He's very adept at attacking space, creating discomfort for the DB, and then creating that separation his quarterback needs to deliver the football in time. So I call him a route savant. That's how I would label him. He wins through route running. Now, he prefers out-breaking routes to in-breaking routes, but he can win inside too. He just doesn't prefer the contact and chaos that comes over the middle. You get a little bit more inconsistency at the catch point for him on in-breaking routes. With the out-breaking stuff, he's just very, very much in his element and has put together some really good tape last year on those movements. But he also is a very good stickler to detail on route running. So when he is creating in-breaking route separation, he can do it in those two-man, deeper downfield in-breakers, those glance routes, those dig routes, those things like that. He's good at it. Now, he had 1,250 yards or so. Can he get to 1,500, like having a really ridiculously good season? That probably involves him improving in some facets, right? And it involves him, and I kind of highlighted and illustrated that, it's him getting downfield and winning jump balls more often, the catch point throws more often, right? Can he go up over a DB and bring a football in a highly contested catch scenario? Can he hang on to a football where he's jumping up in the air to go get it and somebody's delivering a hit on him? That's where some of his drops happen and things of that nature. Like, he had 1,250 yards last year, but he very easily could have had the 1,500 if some plays came together for him that he needed to make, but those just aren't his strengths. So if he's to get to another level in this scenario, it's winning physical moments in the game, those tough catches where you're getting hit, or those tough catches where you have to go up over a guy and play through them and use core strength and physical body strength to make a play over it. I think what Justin Jefferson will do with the catch pointer, the DK Metcalf, those guys, right? But it's not the end of the world if he doesn't. His skill set, his ability inside what Kevin likes to do fits like a glove. And even if he only stays a route nuance winner, that's good enough. That's good enough to be a highly productive receiver here. So what I did was try to illustrate what he does well for folks, and then illustrate what he struggles with, and then some little target areas for improvement if he's to become, that north of 1,400 yards, 8 touchdown, among the NFL's elite wide receivers.
So when you talk about Jerry Jeudy and you look at it relative to the quarterback position, a guy like Joe Flacco, who's going to give him a chance to make plays, would seem to be the kind of quarterback that he would thrive with, kind of like Jameis Winston last year.
I think so, and I think that is where, with White, listen, the Kenny Pickett stuff is fine. I understand the sentiment of cutting down turnovers, but when your wide receivers go out on the field, your tight ends go out on the field, they got to think there's a chance they could get the ball at any given moment. They got to run their route, whether they're the primary, secondary, or third guy in the concept for quarterback eyes. Like, if hey, man, I'm not getting the ball here, it changes the nature of how hard you want to play. It changes your desire to perform. That's where I'm hesitant. So yeah, I do think Flacco, a guy who's willing to let it rip and give his guys a chance and push the football downfield, it's just something they need. They need a belief that they can create plays and start to expose weaknesses of defense. And I understand that Flacco kind of comes with a turnover variance that isn't always the most appealing, but you also have to create explosives. And I do think in a year where I think that there's, clearly some odds stacked against them, they can run it and create throws off of play action downfield with Joe, then it gives you a little more chance of belief in the offense. The defense starts to buy into, hey, those guys can create some explosives, stuff of that nature. So, yeah, that's why I'm of the belief that they need somebody willing to let it rip. And I think that's where Joe and, somebody like Jerry can really fit in well together.
Again, great stuff as always, Jake. Where can folks find you? Tell us about BrownsFilmBreakdown.com.
Yep, just like you said, the simple website, brownsfilmbreakdown.com. We're also on Twitter and Instagram, TikTok, all that fun stuff too. But yeah, we're through Substack, so we got a great app and a great community that's constantly talking Browns. You get film rooms, newsletters, and podcasts pretty much every day. So yeah, we're jam-packed with Browns content if that's your thing.
Appreciate it as always, Jake. Great stuff. Thanks so much, Jake Burns. Make sure you check him out. BrownsFilmBreakdown.com is the place. Always really good and insightful Browns coverage and film breakdown. That's going to do it for this edition of Sports for CLE. Have a great weekend, everybody. We will see you back here Monday at 4 on Sports for CLE.